Hello and welcome to the Mental Perk podcast, where we focus on real people, real issues, and real talk. I'm Carla Hutcherson, a licensed professional counselor.
And I'm Brandy Mock, entrepreneur, author, and community leader.
We are here to talk about all things mental health, whether it's daily stress, academic and work pressures, managing a diagnosis, or suicidal and self-harm behaviors. We want this to be a space of non-judgment, honest talk, and destigmatizing mental health issues. Most of all, we want to provide you the support, encouragement you need to win your everyday battles.
Hey guys, this episode today is brought to you by Leonardo Boho Hats, and today we have a guest from Nashville, Lana Scott. Hello.
Lana, we are so excited to have you, and I have to let you know I am fangirling here because I got to watch you live when you were on The Voice. So exciting. We want to hear a little bit about your experience.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you got to watch that season. I'm a fan of The Voice personally, so getting to actually be on the show after auditioning 6 times.
Wow.
And so many times I almost made it, but didn't quite. There's so many levels that you don't see on the show, but I treated my almost as successes, and I told myself there's a reason why I've made it this far, and so I kept coming back. I made it. I just wanted a chance to sing on that blind audition stage, and finally I did. Blake Shelton pushed his button. So did Kelly Clarkson. It was wild.
And you made a really good pick. For your judge.
As a country singer, I mean.
Absolutely.
Can't get better than Blake.
Yeah.
And he was everything and more that I had hoped he would be. No, nothing but great things to say about him.
I love that you just said that it took you 6 times to get on, because what I really try to tell people that I work with in my office, I try to talk to them about perseverance. Don't give up just because you fail. Don't give up just because you fail. Like, I just climbed a mountain last week, and I failed the first time, right? Last year I failed. I didn't make it. Brad can tell you that, my husband can tell you that I sat on this rock and I didn't make it. And so when we walked by the rock this time, I said, that's the crying rock right there. But this year I got there 14,200 feet or something. It was great. So it's perseverance and not giving up. You know, just because we fail at something, failure brings strength. And so I think that that's really important for people to know that, failure brings character. It makes you stronger.
Yeah. It does. But my question to you is, like, how did you, the first time you didn't make it, the second time, how did you continue to push yourself to go, okay, Lana, I'm going to do it this time, and I'm going to, after every time you didn't make it, right? How did you pump yourself up again to go, okay, this is what I'm going to do differently? Or did you even think you needed to do anything differently? Did you just think it wasn't your time?
You know, I was really fortunate to have a casting producer he's not the one who makes the final decisions, but he believed in me. So I had this line of communication. I said, hey, is there anything I could have done better? Like you said, I wanted to know how I could improve, because I really saw this as a great opportunity. And he said, honestly, you've got it. It just sometimes it comes down to casting, and it is a TV show, so it's like, keep trying, because it wasn't you, is what he said. And it can be frustrating. It can be very tempting to go, well, the 5th time didn't work. Maybe it's not meant to be. But I remember doing a callback with my now husband, who was accompanying me, and I didn't make it that time. And he goes, everyone was clapping in the room. I don't understand, like, what happened? And I said, honestly, I have a peace because of my faith that I know that if I was to make it on the show, I would go from like 5 to a 10 and just like levels as an artist. And I said, God has something for me in the 6, 7, 8, 9. So I just trusted in that.
I love it.
Like, I'm not meant to skip to this right now. Like, he's still got something for me. So I would say it's faith, and also trusting in what you're called to do, whatever the circumstances around you are saying.
Yes.
It'll happen when it's going to happen, for sure.
And don't lose the motivation.
Yeah.
Keep doing the things you're passionate about.
Yeah.
I think that really helps us just in our daily lives. It helps us with our mental health, is to really find the things that we're passionate about and keep trying.
Well, and I've always been a person that said, you're not defined by how your past, you're defined on how you persevere through it. So just pushing through and going, I'm not going to accept no.
Exactly.
That's not going to work for me. It may work for the person that said no to me, but it's not going to work for me. And that's kind of what you did. You're just like, I'm not going to stop.
Yeah, that's
and
how you respond. I love that.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
so good.
So I guess just for our audience out there and all the women out there, give us something about Blake Shelton. Give us something cute, something that nobody knows.
Yes. Well, everybody knows this, but he's so tall. Like, I knew he was tall, but I'm wearing platform boots pretty much every time I'm on this stage that are maybe 6 inches, give or take, and he's still just towering over me. I've never met someone taller than him. I've also never been to a basketball game, so that might be why. But he's great. I'll tell you, when I would walk in the room, even when the cameras weren't rolling yet, he would just have the whole room, everybody laughing. He made everybody feel seen. He knew everybody by name, whether it was a cameraman or someone back doing makeup. Like, he really treats everybody at the show, treated, because he's no longer on the show, but like family.
Yes.
And so, I mean, you see the comedian, you see the talent when you watch it, but when you actually see the person behind it, off camera, he really, really just, like, very engaging and sincere.
What's the one piece of advice that he gave you that sticks with you now?
I love that that an answer came to my mind, because there's a lot of pressure with that question, but it came straight to me, and because I know the answer to this. When I was rehearsing for the battles with Haley Green, we were getting ready to sing Maren Morris's song "Girl," and we practiced, and he was there for the rehearsal. He came up to us. None of this was filmed or on TV, and he goes, after this show, no matter how far you girls go, after the show, you're going to really have to start again over to get up to this level. No matter if you win, whatever, it's not going to be easy when you get off this show. But he's like, but if you put in the work, you can do it. You have what it takes. And so I felt like that was very useful and also very humbling and sobering. Your dreams are coming true. You're on the Voice stage, but then Blake's like, hey, it's going to get really hard after this, just to keep it real.
I think that's interesting, though, that he told you, because a lot of the viewers, we think, oh, that's your platform. You're at that level to where you don't have to do what a lot of other people have to do that are not on The View or on another platform like that. So that's interesting you say that, because he's setting you up for, hey, this is not going to be as easy. You don't feel like you're failing.
Right. Just not a free ride.
Just know all those times that were said no to you, you might hear no again.
Yes. Yeah.
But I like how he did that with you, though, because he's not giving you a false expectation.
Right. Not giving me the false expectation, and also still instilling that motivation, like, you got it now. You know, like, just don't be discouraged when the show ends and you have to work really hard. It was really what I felt like he was saying. And I've carried that with me. I mean, I've never worked harder than I have since the show. I mean, I always feel like I was working hard to try to create these dreams and make them a reality. But after the show, I'm now wearing 10 different hats, but I wouldn't have it any other way. And I think about what he said to me often, so.
That's wonderful. What is the most valuable thing that you got from the show? What is the best memory?
Ooh. I will say, I'm just going to answer these questions as it's coming to me, just be as honest in the moment. I think for me, what I tell my close friends and family and you guys today is that really my walk with God on the show was the thing I got the most. And so, like, a lot of this, is not what people saw on TV, but every round that I did every week, and I made it to the top 8, so I was there all season long. I could feel the Lord telling me, this is what I want you to do this week, this is what I want you to do this week, like down to even going back to the battles when you're doing a duet with another person and you're supposed to try to beat them, right? You're supposed to try to make it to the next round. But I was paired with a younger girl, and I've always had a heart for youth and younger girls. I grew up as one, and I know, like, just the craziness that ensues when you're just a growing up young woman. And I really want to be a voice of encouragement to them. And God knows that, like, my journal knows that. And so I got paired against a younger girl, and I was praying. I was like, God, what is going on right now? And it was so clear to me. He's like, I want you to encourage her. I don't want you to try to beat her. That's not, I'm testing you. Like, I really want you to encourage her. And so I felt that I was able to. She told me I did a lot. Her mom thanked me a lot for the encouragement in our rehearsals, and
almost like a mentorship.
Yeah.
You're mentoring her.
And what was so cool is, like, we both made it through that round. It was one of those rare things where we both got to go through, and nobody lost in the end, right? But every level, it was like, how can I make this bigger than me?
What a great way to approach that.
Yeah.
To not be so competitive that you want to knock her out, that you want to encourage her to do her best while you're doing your best. That's
and it's day and age, everything's a competition. Everything's like
absolutely.
compete.
And it's only the Lord that would say something like that too,
Yeah.
because culture is always saying, you know, you got to be the best, you got to come out on top.
Right.
It's all about you. And I felt like God was like, what's going on around you? How can you like
I love it.
be of service? And I'm not saying I did perfect at that, but I was always working and trying to do that.
Yeah.
And that was the most rewarding thing about it all, were the
And
connections.
she'll never forget that. I know she won't.
No,
She's gonna be.
she'll remember that her whole
She
life.
will.
She wrote me a little letter at the end, was like, you're like a big sister to me.
Yeah,
and
those are the
love
moments
you.
right there.
Those
So-
are the best. Those are
Yeah.
the best words of encouragement.
So talk to us about where you're at today. What's your journey been like since The Voice?
Oh my gosh, what has it been like? It's been wild. It has been really wild. I will say, you know, I said that I've never worked harder, and that's true. And it is also true that this has provided so many opportunities for me too that I never had before. So I think it's a both and. Getting to do partnerships with people that I believe in, being asked to sing at the Opry Plaza, and moving to Nashville. Like, I packed my bags. I'm from Virginia, but I was living in California for 5 years. I packed my bags, moved across the country 2 months after I walked off the Voice stage for the last time. Like, I just felt so called to go there, and I didn't have all the answers. I didn't have any guarantees. But I remembered what Blake told me, and I know what God told me, and it was, you know, one step at a time, and I'll show you what you need as you do it. And so many things really have fallen into place, but that's been paired with me working, like I said, really hard, and writing songs in Music City that I really believe in, and with some writers in town that I just super look up to and admire.
That's amazing.
And I'm talking like some of the greats, like Billy Montana has written for Blake Shelton and Sarah Evans, and Kylie Sackley has written some of Sam Hunt's #1 songs, and she's writing with me. I'm like pinching myself all the time, and some of those doors that opened probably would not have opened so easily without The Voice. So that is something that totally changed my life and has been a big reward for me. It's just having those opportunities.
Right. So after The Voice, though, do they encourage you? What's the game plan after The Voice? Do they kind of give you a little guide of, hey, if you want to continue to pursue this, this is what you need to do? I mean, I can't imagine. I know I look at you guys, I guess probably because Carla and I have kids your age, daughters your age. And as a mom, I'm like, I don't know if I'd be okay with my kid just going, hey, I'm gonna pack up in 2 weeks and I'm going to Nashville. I'd be like, you got 2 rooms? Because I'm coming too.
Yes, yes, exactly.
You know, it's like, so how does that, I mean, what'd you do to prep yourself to go? I mean, you didn't know anything really, did you? Or
Yeah, I mean, I just turned 30. I was 28 on the show. And so I had moved around a bit before The Voice, too. Just being from Virginia, I went to college in Georgia and Boston, and then sang on cruise ships for a while. Then lived in California, where I met my husband, and community out there. So this wasn't my first time moving, but it was the first time that moving felt so easy and right. And again, didn't have all the answers, but I was amazed at how at home I felt week 1. And it wasn't because, again, everything was just going my way, but I just felt like, okay, I'm supposed to be here. And I think for every artist on the show, it's different for everyone, but I feel very blessed because my season, even the producers were like, you guys are really tight this year. Like, we don't see this all the time, but you guys are so close, and we can feel that you're all rooting for each other. So I've got a little clan in Nashville, and I'm not the only one that moved there after the show. So we're really all in it together.
Okay.
And I will say that feels great just to have those relationships, and we're all, like, I'm about to open for Girl Named Tom, in Illinois. I'm so excited about that.
that is nice.
You know, we're doing life together. We're all, you know, continuing off the show. But I mean, to answer your questions directly, there's no guide or pamphlet that's like, here's how you do it.
It's like parenting. There's no guide for parenting.
Yeah.
There's no guide for moving and singing.
no.
Yeah.
Right?
But you hold on to the advice that, you know, your coaches give you.
Yeah.
And not just Blake, but I mean, John Legend, Ariana Grande, Kelly Clarkson, they all spoke to me after every performance. And on TV, you see sometimes little snippets, but they each really coached everybody in a way. I saw it that way, at least. And so I just take things that they would say and apply it and carry it with me. And
That's awesome.
That's
you
an
got to make the
amazing
best you can with
experience.
it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So when I'm working with people who are struggling with mental health issues, whether it be depression or anxiety, one thing that I really try to coach them on is set some short-term goals and set an ultimate goal.
Yeah.
So what are some of your short-term goals and what is your ultimate goal?
Oh, good question.
That's a therapist in her right there, girl.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's really healthy, and you're talking to a goal setter for sure. Like I write it down, I speak it out. I think it's important as well to be specific, not just in your prayers, but in like what your words too, right? And so just this year right now where we sit today is releasing my first album this fall.
Yeah.
That is my goal.
That is amazing.
It's happening.
What is the name?
Lana Scott, and I'm still deciding on the title track. I know the songs that are on the album, but I'm torn between two, so I don't want to speak prematurely. But
so we don't get any insight
We don't
on
get
that.
the insight. I was trying. I was trying. I know.
We might get it out of her. I don't know.
you might.
We'll
It'd
see
be a
over
miracle
dinner.
if you did. Wink, wink, wink. But so yeah, album, and it's also a goal of mine to open for artists that I look up to, and so Girl Named Tom being one of them. I'm on the books to open for Raylan in August, and she's
That is awesome.
super look up to her. Cried when that happened. Another goal was being featured on CMT. Growing up watching CMT,
Yes.
going to CMT.com today. You know, the world's more modern these days. It's TV and it's the computer, but I did my first music video, directed it, put it all together. It was, again, wild, very hard, crazy, but so rewarding. And they ended up picking it up and featuring it.
That was permanent, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I watched the video. Amazing.
Oh, thank you.
The actions in the video spoke to everything you were singing. And it's hard sometimes to visualize that when you're watching a video and hearing the words, but man, it just all flowed together so well. And you could feel that girl's struggle.
Yeah.
You could see it, but then you saw her persevere through it. So I loved the meaning in it. So talk to me about what inspired you to write Permanent.
Yeah, let's get into it. But I mean, I say let's get into it, and it is. I can also preface this is heavy. You know, I think we all deal with that moment when we start to introduce the elephant, not the elephant in the room, but sometimes it is.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm even apologetic before I say the S word because I don't want to upset anyone. But I think it is a part of life, unfortunately, that suicide happens. And I grew up and lost 2 friends to suicide, one in high school named Lauren and one in college named Alex. And Lauren was the first one and a very, very big shock to my system and my whole hometown. We were all very close-knit. Like, I grew up with the same friends from kindergarten through senior year. Like, we were all super close. And when she passed, none of us saw it coming. She had so many friends, made great grades, lots of hobbies, well-liked, all of this. And you know, you start to question, did I miss the signs? What did I not see? Was I not a good friend? Her family was surprised. We all were. And I think what that really taught me and my community was you never really know how someone's doing. And so it's best to not assume people are good because they seem good, but not to hold back when you feel that tug to ask, how are you really? Or that tug to give the compliment because you never know how far it could go. And that's, again, it's not to blame anybody. No one's to blame for that, for suicide. I don't believe that that's something you can ever do. But I did lose 2 friends to that. And so as a singer, I grew up writing songs knowing I wanted to sing. And when that happened, it really directed my focus as an artist to, okay, this is a really heavy world. This kind of thing happens, you know. I had seen it in movies, but then it happened to me, and I was like, the music, my faith, good music, and community got me through.
Right.
Because if I didn't have those things, who knows what could have happened to any of us? Because it's like, how do you even process something that's just not meant to even happen in the first place?
Right.
But I had my faith, and the music that got me through was music that was both real and uplifting. You know, music that talks about the real things in life, the struggles, so you can relate, but it's got a silver lining. It doesn't leave you feeling depressed or more hopeless. And I thought, I want to do that. I want to write songs that people can lean on, feel understood, but also have some kind of, just like I said, a silver lining or a glimmer of light, just some hope, because we need that. And I needed that. I've been the person who needed that.
Yeah.
So Permanent was sparked from that. I wanted to send a message that what you're going through ain't permanent. It feels like this problem that you're living through, this struggle, this seems like it's just the be-all, end-all. And I think especially when you're in high school, it feels like finite.
It does. Yes.
I'm never going to fall in love again. You're going through a breakup.
Oh, absolutely.
Where am I going to go to school? Like, there's so much pressure. And in today's day and age, there's even more things and dynamics that I didn't have to deal with. And so I just really wanted to send a message of hope with that song.
Now, did you find that after your friend had passed away, did you find that you were more, I guess, attuned to suicide? Like, I don't know about you, Carla, but anytime that we talk about suicide, it seems like we hear about suicide all the time, obviously. Yes. But once you open that door, I think that's when you realize this is a real issue.
Yeah.
And it's all around us. And it's just like you said, we've heard so many stories of one kind word kept that person from jumping off a bridge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If somebody will just say hi to me today, I won't do this. Yeah.
Just let me know
Just
I'm
see
important.
me.
Yeah, see me.
And I think also, too, is like you said, it's one thing when you say, hey, how are you doing? But it's another to go, no, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And open up those lines of really difficult conversation and make people, I think the biggest thing is making sure people realize that this is not an isolated thing. You're not alone in this. It takes a village to help get you through situations.
Yeah.
But
And with cell phones and the way we text all the time, we're always looking down. We forget to look up. And we forget to just look in people's eyes and say hello.
Yes.
And so we've lost that connection with humans, I think, because we're so into cell phones and electronics.
Right. We want to be seen online and we want to be validated online. And I mentioned validation in the song, always looking for validation. And the less I get, the more I slip away. But you're failing to remember that that's not how, and I have to tell myself this all the time. I am not immune to this, but this is not my validation. This is my validation. And the people that are actually like living and breathing the same air as me, like I want to make sure I'm being a good friend to them, not just taking care of people who I've never met in person and may never meet, but like how is my real life doing? And what you said too, like really asking, how are you doing? I started saying after Lauren passed, how's your heart? Instead of how are you?
Oh, I love that.
I love that.
And I've been asked that before too, and I'm like, it really makes me stop and think, okay, how it feels
How
more.
is my heart?
Yeah.
Is it hurting? Is it happy?
Yeah.
Actually,
I love
I'm going to
that
start
question.
using that.
I think we should. We're going to adopt that.
Don't
We're gonna
copyright
adopt
that.
Domino.
But people need connection. We can't.
Yeah.
We can't live and be okay without connection. We have to have human connection, and people are losing that. We're losing that so much. And so I love that you're trying to bring that back with your music.
Yes.
I think that's amazing. You are like the poster child right now for cognitive behavioral therapy. Let me just tell you, every little thing you said, from the emotional thought loops and validation and finding your passion and finding your strengths and all of those things. I mean, it was just like, I'm going, she's a cognitive behavioral therapist over there in her song. So
I chose the wrong calling.
Yes, you did.
So I do love that, and I love the message that you're preaching, because so many young people need to hear that. I mean, young and old, but so many young people need to hear what you're saying.
Well, and it's also, too, you're that person that they're going to look up to. And, man, the pressure, though,
I know.
how do you navigate yourself through that pressure? I mean, I know you've got that higher man upstairs that kind of got you, but not everybody does that.
Right,
Not everybody
that's
has
true.
that.
Yep,
So how do you feel whenever you're trying to reach these people? Like, the pressure on you. Do you ever feel overwhelmed? I mean, you're just now getting started in your career, right?
Yeah.
So as you become bigger, because you're going to be bigger, and we're all going to be like, we knew that girl
We
way
knew
back
her
when.
way back
We
when.
knew her back then. How do you feel like you're going to, I mean, who holds you accountable? Who's your person that you can go to and go, I mean, other than God?
Yeah.
Who's your person you go to that says, hey, Lana, how are you doing? How's your heart today?
I would say my husband.
Aww.
My lovely husband. He's my best friend, and we talk about accountability a lot. So I love that you use that word. It's so important, and just touching home base and touching base with each other. Like you even asked me, like, what are your goals? And so we talk about our goals. We check in, how are we doing with that, and also having friends, again, that are doing the same thing as me. We may be different artists with different messages, but only we really know that life and the pressure of it
Yes.
and the social media aspects. And so just having honest conversations. Hey, what's something that's going great? What's something you're struggling with? So just, I think, being honest. And I know you led that question with how do you feel when, and I think, yeah, being able to have people in your corner, whether it's your husband or your best friend or your work peer, whoever it is, like that you feel like you can be yourself with, but just having at least somebody that you can be honest with and not feel like you have to have it all together. And as far as the platform and potentially being a role model for people, I think what takes the pressure off for me is making sure that I always make it clear that I don't have it all together.
Right.
Because I think if I pretend like I do, then the pressure's on.
Right.
But if I'm just like, hey, I'm learning. Something I try to do with my platform is share, like, here's something that I'm struggling with this week. Like, in my caption.
I love that.
Not just like, this is my highlight reel and this is all going great.
Yeah.
But, just being honest.
Be real.
Yeah.
Real.
That's what I think I need to see more of when I'm scrolling. And so
Yeah.
I'm trying to be that person who can help
Be
with
really
that.
real.
I was going to say, when you're scrolling, and you probably haven't, but it's inevitable.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. You're going to have all those naysayers, right? How's Lana going to keep herself in a good place
Yeah.
to let all those naysayers go? Because, there's going to be someone out in the world that's going to have something negative to say.
They're out there.
They're out there. You've already experienced it.
I have. Yeah.
How do you
Okay.
handle it?
Yes,
What
I
do you
wanna
do? How
know.
do you keep your motivation going when you hear those things?
I haven't even thought about that in a while, thank the Lord, but it's totally out there. And when I was on The Voice for the first time, I experienced fans, not just my friends, not just my family, not just like colleagues, but people that I've never met, who've never met me in person, that are like following me, commenting, sending messages that are telling me that something I said or the way I sang this song really impacted them. And so that was really meant a lot to me and made me realize, wow, this is working, being on The Voice, because you hope to grow as a person and also you hope to grow a fan base. There's two different things, but I also experience hate, and that was hard for me. It's hard when you see some anonymous person with no real name, what they call trolls, or saying like, I wish that so and so was still here, that I was voting for. Why is she still here? I mean, you have to deal with all these different things, and I think what helps me with the naysaying side of it is knowing. I mean, it's easier said than done, but I just think the statement really is true. Is like, you really can't be everybody's cup of tea. Like, no matter who you are, like Mother Teresa can't please everybody.
No.
And even looking at what helped me too is one of my friends was like, well, look at, all the coaches that are so well respected. They were chosen to be on this panel. They're all esteemed, but they even have people commenting like, I don't want this coach to be here next season, or this coach, and no matter who you are. And so hearing wise words that, the more fans you have, or the more famous, like you may, or may not, but may become, the more there's going to be hate.
Yeah.
And so just accepting that. And I think I'm grateful, I will say, that this all has happened in this season of my life where I do have thick skin, I do have a backbone, and I have to remember that, where's this coming from, and is there truth in what they're saying? And if someone's saying something that's true that maybe I just need to work on, then hey, thank you. But if
I love that too, though. Like, a lot of people are not even in that place where they're like, they can accept the criticism and go, okay, maybe I need to tweak this. Maybe I need to look at myself a little differently and
Rather
make
than
some
being so
changes.
defensive, really focusing on the words and
I
just
like
saying,
that.
yeah.
That's a good attitude.
yeah, because maybe somebody's seeing something that I'm not seeing that I should see. So I think always being able to look at what's being said, but also you got to have that discernment of, okay, this is either productive or this is just something I don't even need to give the time of day to. So just being able to tell the difference and knowing who you are. I know my strengths. I also know my weaknesses. So as long as I know that, nothing can really shake me in that way.
I love it.
So.
And you're growing your career, but how do you stay present in the moment? Like, really embracing every moment that you're living right now, because people get so tied up with predicting the future and trying to make all these things happen, but they forget to enjoy the everyday, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so much going on in your world and so much just to embrace in the moment.
There really is. And, that's a good question. I appreciate that, because this is something I talk about all the time. Is I'm thankful for this. I haven't always been this way, but the last, I would say like 5-ish years of my life, I feel like I've gotten better and better at really being present. I can always grow in it, but I stop at least once a week and in conversation and or when I'm journaling, because that's a helpful way to just document and be present, is to journal, like write down, this happened this week, like take a second to reflect and not just be thinking about what you still want to happen.
Yes.
But I do feel like I'm regularly really thankful for where I am right now. Like for me, like I said, my first album is about to come out soon. I will have an album out, and I won't be able to go back to when I was making my first album.
Oh yeah.
You know, and like I just got married, and you know, we're about to celebrate 1 year in a few months, and like that's only going to happen once.
Yep.
You know, and so I think just knowing that there's no time like the present. Like no other time is going to be like today. So really knowing that there's something to be found and learned in every season, in every chapter, if you will, of the journey,
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
So trying to keep my eyes open and my ears open, and what can I learn or what's going on. But I'm constantly just like, man, I'm already living the dream. I'm writing songs I love. I'm, doing it with people I love. My fiddle player and my drummer I went to Berkeley with in Boston. So we've been friends for 10 plus years. And I'm on stage with like my best friends,
love that.
And I'm just like, man, this is the dream.
Yeah.
And if more happens, then great. But I notice it's kind of like when you're looking for love, when you don't feel like you're desperately clinging to what you don't have, that tends to be when the next things happen. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What kind of mental health issues do you see in your industry? What kind of things are you seeing with other people in the industry, and how does that affect you?
Yeah. Let me think about that. I feel like in the music industry, a lot of times we can base our worth or our success on being on the radio. Mm-hmm. And I'm more speaking for like country female singers. If you look at, if you look it up, or if you just turn on the radio, you'll see that about 70% of it are male singers. And there's so many women that are working just as hard, have songs that are just as good, and so it's hard. And I knew coming into this industry, and this isn't going to be an easy one, but trying to remind myself, who says that my success has to be if I make it on the radio? Why can't my success be making a living, doing what I love, knowing that people somewhere are hearing my songs, whether it's on an Instagram reel or on Spotify or on a podcast, or out if they just stumble into Old Red on Broadway in Nashville or on my tour. So I think, I think as far as mental health goes, I think that we can tend to feel heavy when we're not on the radio, or when we're not, next in line after Maren Morris and Gabby Barrett, and, trying not to compare myself or try to make someone else's story have to be mine. And it's hard. I'm constantly trying to remind myself that, my story is going to be my story. And it's hard to break out of that because we only know what we see and what other people have done.
Yeah.
So I got to do that too. But trying to just have open hands. Mm-hmm. But so I think comparison is a big thing. And also, like I said, trying to not be narrow-minded with what success means.
Yes. I think those are really good points. What about like fatigue and taking care of yourself?
Oh my gosh, that's a big one. That's a big one for me, actually. I don't know how I forgot that, because I'm constantly...
She's so tired she couldn't remember, y'all.
So tired. Honestly, no, I rest is so important. So important. I could just, that more than anything else I already said, I would say rest for sure will completely help you be your best, help you speak from a place of abundance and not scarcity. Like when I'm sleep deprived, I don't write songs as well. I get easily irritated. Mm-hmm. I can be really hard on myself with like something I did when I performed or something. It's not good. So I think I know that rest is the recipe for
good
clarity
mental
of
health.
mind.
Good mental health.
It is the recipe, but then let's say, Lana, you start getting this concert tour and stuff.
Yeah.
I've seen, these artists that are just being flown from one place to another, and they're performing night after night after night. I mean, I spoke to you not too long ago, and I'm like, girl, have you been singing a lot?
Yeah.
She kind of sounded a little hoarse.
My voice a little raspy.
I'm like, you've been singing too much already.
Yeah.
How much control do you have over that? Hey, from your manager and all that good stuff, you know, you saying, look, I'm exhausted. I need a break. Are you ready to deal with it that direction to where you feel, if you feel overwhelmed, you're gonna step up and go, hey, I need a break?
I think so. So when I always go back to cruise ships, and I'm like, it's not like that anymore, at least, because that was like 6 nights a week I was performing.
Wow. She's ready for it.
She's ready.
She's ready.
6 nights. I had one night off, and it wasn't just an hour; it was 4 hours. So that's something I actually talked about a lot on The Voice with producers. Was just it was grueling, is the word. I was doing what I loved. I was learning a lot along the way, but night after night, and my voice, it gets stronger the more I sing. So when I haven't sang in a while and then I jump back into it, it gets tired easily. But when I'm actually singing regularly, it's like working out. Yeah, it gets stronger. But yeah, I've gotten good at knowing when I need to go on vocal rest. Even though I want to call my mama and tell her all about, what happened yesterday, I have to get discipline and accountability. I'll tell my husband, okay, I'm not talking today. I'm resting my voice.
He's like, are you mad at me, honey?
Exactly. So just knowing when to be quiet and also making sure that I am getting the rest I need. So, recently I realized I can't be flying, at 4:30 or 5:30 in the morning to like, and I didn't do that today. Don't worry. Don't worry.
We're feeling bad over here.
Well, Carly gets up every morning at 4:30.
I do.
And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
There should be a law against anybody that gets up before the
Oh
sunrise.
I go to the gym.
I'm like, I do too at 5 o'clock in the
I
afternoon.
thought I was good, and I wake up at 7:30, so you're making me look bad.
Makes me look bad too.
Yes.
So when I get a text early in the morning from her, she's getting crickets for a good 2 or 3 hours because I'm still sleeping.
It takes a while for her to respond to me. So.
I love the cricket sounds. That's great.
That's awesome. So we know Permanent is got some mental health initiative and that's a passion for you. What other songs are you writing, or how are you including that in the work that you do, that initiative?
Yeah. So this is an interesting topic. When I was putting this album together, I was writing very intentionally. I had a list of themes and things and, song ideas of things I really wanted to write about. And that's an ongoing list. I've still got, for album 2, I'm already stocking up. But I hit a wall where I thought, well, hold on, this song's starting to sound pretty encouraging too, and I already have that song with Permanent, and it was funny because I started to think maybe I need to make sure everything's really, really different, but then I realized you can never have too many encouraging songs.
Oh, no,
or songs that are feel good, but they're just feel good in a different way with a different feel or a different vibe. And so I made that decision. I'm like, I'm not gonna limit myself. Whatever it is I'm wanting to say, I'm going to say it. And so some songs you'll find on the album are very hopeful or they're encouraging, but there's also some songs that are just very zesty and make you feel like sensory. Like I have a song called Silverado. It's about a breakup. And it's like every time I see a Silverado, I'm right back there in that passenger seat when we were together. My hand's out the window, your hand's on the rip in my jean, like your hand's on my knee. And I sometimes would debate, I'm like, should I go into Christian music or country music? And realizing I can do country music and be a Christian at the same time.
Absolutely.
And so, there's a lot of faith in my songs, but realizing that, like we said earlier, sometimes people just want to relate. Sometimes you're going through a breakup and you don't want to hear a happy song. You want to hear the song that you can just relate to. And then another thing is joy. I want people to be able to laugh too with my music. So I've got some, songs that have some funny punchlines.
Okay.
And so those are my 3 things. I try to ask myself, am I checking, is this falling into joy or hope or zest? Like I want it to all be somewhere in those branches. And so that's what you can expect. Just stuff that I think hopefully makes you feel alive, makes you feel good, might make you laugh, and hopefully gives you some hope.
I hear real connection. I mean, there's going to be a lot of connection once we get this album out. We're really excited. I can't wait to download it.
Me too.
Super excited.
Thank you.
So what are we know your album's coming out and you're working really hard on it and you actually have ideas for album 2. What are other projects you're working on? What are some other things that you're doing?
What else am I doing? I do a lot of this, but I truly enjoy it so much. I try to make sure that I divvy up my time to where I'm not only working on music. I do need my my breaks. And so, just a week ago, I was visiting my dad in Indiana, and we went horseback riding. We went shooting shotguns.
Lana shooting shotguns.
Hey.
She's my girl.
Yes.
She's fitting in right here in
Yeah,
Texas.
It was a band outing too. Like bands that shoot together, stay together. My little fiddle player, her name's Catherine. She's like the cutest little thing, and she was shooting the big guy gun. What was it, Sean? What was that one? He's not listening.
Yeah, crickets.
Which
crickets? He's like crickets.
12
Sean's
gauge.
response.
12
gauge.
She was shooting the 12 gauge gun. I was like, that's my girl. But so
She got a bunch of kickback to it.
I
She's going back,
know.
get back up,
just being outside and living life, like remembering I am an artist, but I'm also a person.
Love
and that is actually advice that Ed Sheeran gave me on The Voice. He was the mega mentor.
I love some Ed.
Oh my gosh,
He's
I
got a
love
neat
Ed
story.
Sheeran. He
Yes.
does.
He's very grounded.
Yes.
And I think he actually probably is a pretty good little mentor and inspiration
was
to you
so
guys that are
sweet.
started out.
He had such a sweet demeanor.
yeah.
Did y'all like compare hair, like the color of your hair, like who's more red?
I wish we had. I complimented his hair, and he did it actually when it was our turn with our segment with Blake. He started talking about how people would talk about like the ginger jokes with him in school, and then Blake was like, they used to make fun of my mullet, so it was a whole bit that they were just.
He did have a serious mullet though.
Oh yeah,
He probably could have started the whole mullet
Oh,
phase.
he could have. I think he brought it back.
He did
Yeah,
bring
He
it
brought
for
it
sure.
back
He
with that
definitely
song.
brought
it back.
Yep. But Ed Sheeran says, he's like, I go away from music sometimes on purpose. I turn off my phone. I'm with my family. I'm with my friends. I'm just doing normal things. And just and he's like, that's what gives me the inspiration. Because I brought it up. I'm like, I know you go on these hiatuses and you're known for that. And how does that work? And he said just that. He's like, that's what I get inspiration from, is not trying so hard and just living my life. So I'm really intentional to go on vacations with my family and my husband and our friends and just
I do love
have
that.
fun. Yeah,
I
need
do.
that.
And just being normal, just being
Yeah.
a normal person. And I love that too. So like artists have like different things that kind of define them. Like Ed Sheeran does his whole band by himself, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a big thing. Yours is hats. Tell me about the hats.
You know what? You're not wrong. I wish I could say, no, I love hats, so I don't wish I could say you're wrong. But I will say there have been times, a very few times, when I don't wear a hat, and like I'll be performing out in Nashville or something, and someone will walk in and be like, I realized it was you, but I didn't know at first without the hat that it was you.
See,
and
that's
then
your
I realized,
trademark.
it became a thing. But I love it. I intentionally, wore those before and during the show because I just love them. And actually, Miss Ma'am right here and I have a special collection.
We do.
That we've been
It's
collaborating
exciting.
on.
We have. Lana's got this great eye for hats and designs. So we partnered up, and she is going to have an amazing hat line. She's going to start pushing pretty soon.
Well, I fell in love with your style.
thank you.
And you can imagine after wearing those hats on The Voice, I've been hit up by quite a few hat companies. I know this sounds funny, but it's truly, and I'm always really touched anytime anybody would like me to represent their brand and things like that. But I was turned on to yours through a mutual friend, and I was just like, wow, hers are so different and
Thank you.
so unique. And I think you were just being unconventional with some of your choices, and you were so sweet to gift me with one. And then, you gifted it, and then I wore it in a couple things just because I wanted to, not because anyone was, paying me to. I genuinely was a fan of your work.
Oh, thank you.
And happy to sport it. And then we just started talking about mental health and things.
Well, and in
and-
fact, that's kind of what opened up the door to meeting Lana is when you have performers, you don't know how busy they are. So
Yes.
I reached out to her and was like, hey, do you ever donate your voice to anything? And I'm thinking after I do that, I'm like, there's no telling how many people reach
Ask
out to
her
her
to
and
do
ask
that,
stuff.
yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, there's no telling what she's thinking, all right. But then, she was so gracious when she responded. And to me, it was just, there's no denying it was meant to be. We were meant to cross
100%.
paths. She was the one that shared with me about her friends, and I sent her the link to Hannah for Hope, which everybody knows out there that we're big supporters of Hannah for Hope. I mean, that kind of has been our love, making sure all these teens and young adults know that they're not alone in this walk in life, and it's okay to feel and to talk about these things. It doesn't put the idea in the head. The idea is already there, right? It's already
Exactly.
there. So connecting with her and knowing that to me, it was just a total, I will say it was a God thing. It just, the doors were open to go, her talk to me about permanent and what the song meant. It was meant to be.
It was definitely meant to be. And a lot of people have trouble talking about suicide, and they think if they talk about it, it's going to put the idea in someone's like you were saying.
Right.
But what we know is the more we talk about it, the more we're helping people and saving lives.
Yeah.
So we just, the fact that, Lana, you're so willing to talk about it and willing to share that you lost 2 friends, and that you're willing to do benefit concerts and help people really understand the value of understanding mental health and really getting out there and talking about it, because we are saving lives, and your songs are going to save lives. And so I think it's really important that we get that message out there.
Well, and at the end of the day,
keep talking.
And at the end of the day, we're all struggling. We all, at some point in our life, struggle with mental health. I don't care what anybody says. It doesn't matter if it's a death, if it's, stress from a job or singing, whatever it is. And so I think the more we put it out there, the more we're going to make people realize that your journey's not alone. You've got a village of people that totally, and so you having the platform you have makes my heart proud and makes me thankful, because I know that you're going to be touching so many people, and you're going to change lives that you probably won't ever see or know in your lifetime, but
it will make
I know
a difference.
You will be, and I think that's a huge thing, because we're limited. Carla and I are limited. And I say we're limited. No one's limited, right?
I was just going to say, no,
we're not. We're not limited. But the audiences are always different, and the different fields we go into. So I think you doing what you're doing and having the heart you have is going to save a lot of lives, I promise.
And everybody relates to music, and we love the messages that you're sending out. Yeah, the messages you're sending out are amazing.
We ain't got no tissue in here, so.
Well, Lana, we are so thankful that you came to Texas, and you are on our podcast and helping us spread a message about things we are really passionate about. We really want people to know out there, you're worthy, we're in this together.
That.
Good job.
If you or anyone you know is struggling with mental health issues, please reach out to talk to someone you trust. Get connected to a mental health professional who can help you find ways to cope and ultimately feel better. If you are having suicidal or self-harm thoughts or thoughts of hurting another person, please go to the nearest ER, call 911, or contact the National Suicide Hotline at 988. Thank you for tuning in to Mental Perk. We hope our talk today highlighted real people working through real issues based on mental health. Our goal at Mental Perk is to make sure every one of you knows you're worthy, we're in this together.